I went to New York, I went to Boston, I ended up going to the Baylor Eye Institute in Houston, which happens to be a really well-renowned institute, and they do a lot of progressive stuff there. I researched online, I had seen Dr. Gulani's website, and I had seen that he had treated some patients. I mentioned it to a friend of mine who ended up pursuing it even further, which I'm kind of glad she did. And her name is Paula Elliott. She's an attorney as well, and she had RK as well, and she had other complications like Fuchs dystrophy syndrome, and she also had, I think, a cataract, and she also had a detached cornea at one point. So things were kind of bad for her, and she had gone to the same institute I did, the Baylor Eye Institute, and she was fitted with the prosthetic lenses that I ended up wearing, which helped. But it's a hassle. The prosthetic lenses are a lot bigger. You have to have
sterile lenses.
The hard lenses.
They're like pumps.
They're domed. They act like your cornea, and you have to put saline solution in them. And so, that helped some, but still, I couldn't drive at night. It really caused a lot of...
So at night, did you have this scattered vision?
Oh, it's horrible.
Halos.
Double vision, halos. I mean, really, ghost images where you see a chair and there's a chair right next to it. It's
Did
absurd.
you have that?
No.
That was really bad in the evenings.
Yeah, I usually do all the driving at night.
And Jill does all the driving for me because I can't.
Yeah.
So that was hard. And I'm a public defender, so we do a lot of work after hours. And so if I was at work late and I couldn't drive back, I would get a cab if Jill was working late at the hospital. So, or if I had a friend who couldn't pick me up. So that's just complicated things. You know, when you have to rely on others, it makes it even more difficult. So my friend Paula had seen Dr. Gulani, and she had 2 surgeries with him, both eyes. And she just, the first time she came here and she had her first surgery, I get a text from her and she goes, "You have to see Dr. Gulani. He is going to fix you." And I had lost hope because when I had gone to see the Baylor Institute and I wanted to go to the next step because the prosthetic lenses weren't doing it for me, I still couldn't drive at night, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. They said, well, maybe we can do a corneal transplant. Problem is, I'm 43, corneal transplants only last 10 years, and they were saying because of the 16 incisions, you would have to have 32 stitches, because all they do is they graft a cornea on top of that, and they have to, fix it to the point where it's not hitting the incision so it doesn't break open your eye. The risk of infection is huge. It would take 2 years to heal. Sounded like a nightmare. And 2 years...
You're right. These patients do know all the information, don't they?
And
I'm amazed. That's why I like what Carlos said. Carlos from London, Marinas from Texas, she's an attorney, he does numbers. But to me, just hearing your language, it shows so many things. The passion, the hurt, the pain. Being told about these things. So it's interesting. I'm just sitting over here as
the worst thing is
not seeing this.
The worst thing is being in the courtroom. There's extremely, and I practice in federal court. I'm a federal public defender. So the lighting, you're talking these big courtrooms, massive chairs, everything's dark in there, and the lighting is poor. And they do that just because it's intimidating, right? So they want to intimidate jurors and people who walk in. And as a public defender, the problem is if you're in the middle of a trial or a hearing and you're asking for the government to give you, because you're not entitled to some of the offense reports or some of the witness statements until court, and then you're asked to see these things and you can't read them. I would have these panic attacks where I would have to ask for a recess, and the recesses are 5 minutes long, and you're supposed to skim this 20-page offense report and get what you need to cross-examine the next witness. I ended up getting a reader, those readers that you buy online for low vision, where it magnifies and also it helps because it changes the color of the font.
Right.
But they're $600, and still here you're with this big reader at counsel table trying to go through the offense report, and it only focuses on some portions of it instead of being able to see the whole thing. And you know how your eye works. Your eye, you know what to pick out and what you need when you're. So it was just hard to do my job. And I lived in panic constantly when I was in the courtroom. I'm very prepared. I read all the offense reports, but there's jinx material you're not entitled to until you're in the courtroom cross-examining individuals. So it's a relief to know that that's not going to happen. and that I'm going to be able to see again. It's a relief to know that I'll be able to do my best.
So have you
At
had
work.
one eye done?
Just
Yeah.
one eye,
Uh-huh.
and it's been a tremendous change already.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait till it settles in a week and
Yes,
see what I can
yes,
see. So,
yes.
I mean, I'm antsy to do the other one now, of course, but I have to. Since I still wear the prosthetic lenses, it
Yeah.
takes 3 months for your eye to mold back to normal.
Uh-huh.
I want to do fly back and come back for the second eye
Uh-huh.
after we see the full results.
Yeah, of
She's
course.
already seen
Yeah.
the left eye better than she ever saw with contacts.
I know,
I'm
it's better
thrilled.
than in 20
So
years,
what
actually.
was your treatment option that Dr. Gulani did for you?
For her, I did a lens exchange surgery.
Lens exchange.
And a lens exchange, yes, and I used that resealant glue on her. So we arranged the optics again. Now her cuts are 2 times more than yours,
Mm.
and very irregular because her RK surgeon apparently cut over cuts.